This is Maurice Jones-Drew, and you're listening to the What's Bruin Show.
You're listening to the What's Bruin Show, part of the What's Bruin Show network, with your hosts, Jake Berryfield and Mike Regalado, and occasionally some friends, talking all things UCLA sports. And now, it's time for the What's Bruin Show.
Well, hello and welcome to What's Bruin. I am your host, Jake Merrifield, and I'm here with my good buddy, Mike Regalado from Bruin Report Online.
Mike Regalado.
What's up, y'all?
Mikey, how are you doing?
I'm all right, thank you. How you doing?
It's an MJ edition.
The ceiling is the roof.
Mm-hmm.
The MJ edition.
And, whatever. I that might be just the regular What's Bruin show from, at this point. But, we never know. We always make room for friends.
It still goes
like the new
on.
theme says.
Mm-hmm.
Jamal didn't know he got demoted, I guess. But, Jamal, you kind of moved out of the state, so what do you expect, pal?
And you're not calling in, bro. Oh, I have work in the morning. Whatever, dude.
No, Jamal's always welcome. He knows
No,
that.
we miss him.
We do.
We seriously miss him.
If you move back to the state, you can have we'll put you back in the credits.
Yeah.
It took like 7 years to get him in the credits, and he was in the credits for like 2.5 years. And then he moved, and then we took you out of the credits. Sorry, bro. That's the way it goes. But we love you. Go Bears. But it is the What's Bruin Show on the What's Bruin Show Network. Thank you for your support. On Twitter, we're at What's Bruin Show. On Instagram, we're at What's Bruin Show. Email what'sbruinshow@gmail.com. what'sbruin.substack.com. Subscribe there, please. I would really appreciate it if any or all of you would subscribe to anything or everything that we have, even if you aren't going to look at it. Just subscribe so we get more subscribers. It's been a while, and we'd like to boost that up a little bit. That's wonderful. Also on YouTube, search What's Bruin Show, and you can see or you can hear the What's Bruin Show along with a nice slideshow. You can get WBSN merch. Look in the show notes for a My Locker site. And, of course, you can always subscribe on Patreon, too. Patreon.com/whatsbruinshow or just whatsbruinshow.com for how much, Mike?
$2.
$2.
Just $2 a month or a little bit more on the Substack, by the way. But we appreciate you guys sending the What's Bruin Show into the future, this nice little independent podcast that we are. Also, lastly, for listener feedback and whatnot, you can email us, like I said. You can tweet us, like we said. You can join the Slack if you are a subscriber, like we said, a subscriber on Patreon or the Substack. But also, you can always call the hotline, and we do have a couple hotline calls. At least one from one guy named Diego that likes to call the show about football occasionally. But you can call the hotline at 805-399. 4 WPS.
As I cough.
What the hell happened, Mike?
Right there.
Oh my gosh! Suck it, Raina Troy. As Mike has an aneurysm over there. It's okay. He's a little
like
too
the first
much.
time in 20 years that's happened.
Yeah, that's all right. He's still hungover from the weekend. He had a good weekend. Yeah, that's right. But
Drank all the IPAs in Philadelphia.
We're just calling him Transcontinental Mike now.
What's up, yo?
Yeah, that's him. But
Bicoastal?
Yeah, Bicoastal Mike.
My second home.
That's good. That's right. It's good. And all of our love to onlyloons.com.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, regardless, we're having a good time here. It's me and Mike. And Mike, do you have any headlines or do you want us to get on the basketball?
No, at this point, all of our headlines are, they're going to be thoroughly talked about.
Okay, well, let's open and close the Brofield headlines then. Good?
Yep, we're good.
Bro.
Okay, well, I guess let's get to, do you want to talk basketball first or football first?
Let's hold football for the end.
Yeah, football.
Yeah,
Just a bunch of whatever. Okay, yeah, that's good.
Although, there's some scathing going on.
Oh, my God. Vicious headline. Here, I'll just read the headline to tease the football segment later. Where'd it go? Here, it's right here. Analysis, after years of quiet quitting, Chip Kelly admits he didn't want to be at UCLA. Ooh, that's pretty harsh. I think that's a vulture. That's okay.
Yeah.
All right, so you want to talk basketball first?
Let's do it.
Let's go. Men's or women's?
Women's.
Basketball.
Women's.
Basketball.
Women's. Women's.
Women's basketball leading off the show for good old Nancy. We love you. And Mike, the women's basketball team actually is winning, unlike the men's team.
And you know what? I did have headlines, but we're going to talk about women's basketball.
Whatever.
It'll be really quickly.
Hi, bro.
It'll be quick. Charisma Osborne.
Yes.
The GOAT, as I call her.
Uh-huh.
She is a top 5 finalist for the Ann Myers Drysdale Award, which is given annually to the top shooting guard in the nation.
That's awesome.
On top of that, today it was announced the Pac-12 Women's Basketball Awards were announced.
Yes.
3 Bruins were honored. Making the all Pac-12 team is Charisma Osborne, Lauren Betts, and Kiki Rice.
Nice.
Additionally, making the all defensive team
Hold on.
was...
Hold on. Wait, we got to give them some of these.
Straight baller.
All of them.
Yep. Making the all defensive team, Lauren Betts and Charisma Osborne. So
No,
those,
it didn't play. Why didn't it play? Or I'll do this one again.
I saw you tap. And I
Oh,
was-
man. It's not working. Just a baller, man. That's what we're doing. You got to reset this.
Just a baller, man. So yeah, those 3, deservedly so, got their awards today. Personally, I would think that at least
Just a baller, man.
There we go.
Angela Dugalich and London Jones, who broke the record for 3-pointers in a season this year during the regular season, they should have gotten honorable mention. But that's just me.
But instead, not.
Nope. Didn't get nothing.
That's a shame.
It's all right. It's actually funny. Over the weekend, I put out a tweet that says, this year women's basketball has been more entertaining than men's basketball.
Yeah.
Oh, resounding. Yeah, I agree. Yes. Oh, you're right. Oh, it's been freaking fantastic.
Except for one douchebag.
Caitlin Clark. Well, no, there's one guy kind of came at me and saying, well, you're only saying that because of you cover UCLA. I'm like, I didn't say UCLA or Pac-12. I'm talking about in general. And he's like, well, how could you see every single game? I'm like, really, dude? We're going to do this? I'm like, come on.
Like I said, one douchebag.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. Oh my God, Caitlin Clark took over. Like I'm literally at work in a courthouse with lots of people there, and Caitlin Clark came up like 8 times that I think between the day before she announced she was going to the NBA and all that stuff.
Nice.
But it's like, my God, women's basketball is taking country by storm.
Yeah, dude. I was at Starbucks yesterday, and I heard two men, kind of actually, burly looking dudes, talking about basketball. I think they were starting about the Lakers, and the other guy's like, "Yeah, NBA's all right, but I've been watching a lot of college basketball. Actually, more specifically, I've been watching a lot of women's college basketball." And I kind of turned to him. I'm like, "Oh, like he saw me, and I smiled. I'm like, yeah." He goes, "Yeah, right." I'm like, and it's not just Caitlin Clark. You have South Carolina, who went 27-0. You have at the LSU, Stanford, UCLA. Obviously, that's our wheelhouse. But it's just been a really entertaining year.
And it is really fun to see a sport kind of growing before our eyes. I mean, I'm somebody who, I don't really care what it is on TV. It could be like competitive shuffleboard or women's college basketball or gymnastics or football. Obviously, my favorite sports to watch are, college football and UCLA specifically. But I just like watching competitions, on TV or live or whatever. I can get into it, and it doesn't matter what it is. And the thing that really, it's fun to see women's basketball, NBA and college, both of them growing the last couple of years. But I mean, I think you really can make a case for college women's basketball right now and the tournament and how much of an impact it's making. And to me, when I'm interacting with other people out there, especially people might maybe have old opinions on this, or got people that dismiss women's basketball just out of hand, and and a lot of arguments that get put out there, should women playing professional sports be making the same amount of money as the men? That's a completely separate argument. Yeah. From, is it a worthy thing to watch, or is it growing, or is it becoming more popular, right? Yeah. And it's like, you can't make and I don't know, Mike, I don't know how you feel about it, but in my opinion, you can't make a reasonable argument why, someone in the WNBA should be making the same amount of money as someone in the NBA just because of the amount of money that it's bringing in right now. But that doesn't mean that it's still not something worthy to watch and not something worthy to, it's not a very fun thing to watch, or it's not a very cool thing, And it is neat that we're living in a time when we can kind of see this kind of growing from the ground up, and I like that.
And especially because I don't know. I'm not saying, I had foresight on this, but there's a reason I wanted to cover women's basketball with. I did it at when I was at Gojo Bruin, when I was heading that. And
Gojo Bruin,
when I got to Bruin Report, I asked Tracy Pearson, hi, bro, because it wasn't being covered
Mike
before,
Regalado.
just because, just he's focused on football and men's basketball. And I asked him about it. He goes, "Yeah, sure. Like, you know the sport?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know the sport. I've been, following UCLA women's basketball since even before Corey Close was there. Oh God, I forgot the name of the coach. Nikki. Nikki something. She went to LSU, and then now I believe she's an executive with the Las Vegas Aces. But
Right.
yeah, no, I was following them way back then. And people, some people kind of come at me and goes, "Oh, you're just watching it because whatever excuse they think I have for it." I'm like, I've been watching women's basketball loosely, since I was a kid. Like when my sister played basketball when we were in grade school, I thought it was awesome. I was like, freaking yes, thank you. Now I can talk, because I don't have any brothers. I have 3 younger sisters.
Mm-hmm.
I had someone to talk to about basketball. I mean, I had someone to talk to about basketball with my dad and my uncles and grandfather and all that. But on a player level, yeah, there you go. On a player level, we could talk about how we did this. Oh, like, hey, maybe you do this. Oh, what do you see from me? It was just good to converse with someone that knows exactly what I'm going through, what she's going through. Yeah, it's always been something I've loved, because you know why? Because to me, it's still just basketball.
Well, and that's the thing too, is I think one of the things that's really apparent to me as it's been growing the last decade or so or whatever. And this is just my opinion, right? But I really do think a big part of the growth and the kind of what I'm hoping is staying popularity for this is the fact that just kind of like, you go through different eras of sports and you look back at football 100 years ago, or you look back at, basketball, men's basketball, from the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and you think these different eras and you see how they change. And then you compare like players today in the NBA to players even in the 80s. The scores, those are 2 high scoring eras. Yeah. But the skill level in the NBA right now, from the number 1 superstar, your LeBrons and your Steph Currys and your Giannis's, all the way down to the last guy on the bench, the average skill level is, I think, at the highest level it's ever been. Yeah. And that's something about women's basketball. And by the way, I'm almost completely ignorant to the pro game as far as the WNBA. I don't watch a whole lot, but we've watched a lot of Pac-12 women's basketball in the last couple of years. And just to me, like, the skill level just as a whole on women's teams now, I think, is at the highest level it's ever been. Yeah. And I think that's another one of the reasons why just watching the competition of it is so compelling. And that's, if everybody's better at playing the game, the competition is better, and it makes it much more easier to watch, no matter what you're watching. Yeah. And that's, I didn't plan on going on a 10-minute jag about this. I know. But getting, we'll turn it to the women's, to UCLA specifically in a minute, Mike. But it's fun to watch, and I'm glad that something that you spend a lot of time covering and thinking about is. It's coming in strong. Similarly,
too, I mean, we've talked about like softball, because you coach softball, your girls affiliate softball, and for me, like, I just never got into baseball. Not like a super fan. I mean, like I could follow it.
I used to despise baseball,
right?
And now it's one of my favorite sports.
And honestly, the reason I've gotten more into baseball is, well, not only do I know have a lot of friends who are into it and have educated me on it, but I've really liked watching softball because it's shorter, it's more compact, and I think it's a little bit more ferocious. Like that just it's baseball on crack.
My gateway to baseball was through softball. Yeah. And having to learn it because I was coaching and all that stuff, and just watching my girls compete it's amazing. And and I'm really thrilled about that, right? But that's another one, right? Softball doesn't really have any way, or there are pro softball teams, but they're not like they get the exposure. It's really the Olympics and it's the NCAA softball, but it's such a fun thing to watch.
But even like women's soccer and hockey, those are starting to expand too. And I think for the WNBA, the one thing with the WNBA, I think that the downfall for that is that it's not matched up with the NBA, which I think would be a little weird too, because it's in the summer.
Oh, I see. It's like in the off-season?
So let's say, for example, Charisma Osborne, she's going into the WNBA draft, which, oh God, it's in the next 2 months. And then like a month after that, the WNBA season starts, and it's such a shorter season. I think it's less than half of what the NBA is.
But I actually think that's a good thing, because you think about the summer months, and unless it's an Olympic year, the only thing in the summer is really just baseball. As far as major sports. Exactly. So I think it's a good window to get it in there. And hopefully that's a place where they can get some exposure and get more eyeballs on it.
I just think they need to expand not only the league, but the length of the season as well. That will also bring them. And you're talking about revenue? Well, you know what? For people that are saying like, oh, women's sports sucks. Well, do you watch women's sports? No, I don't, because it sucks. Well, how do you know? It's like
Yeah. Well, there is a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy for those folks, but well, that's kind of what I'm saying though. Is like at this point when a lot of these, the pro game I think is propped up by the men's game at this point. It still is, and they're doing everything they can to support it. And so you have to really be careful about what kind of decisions you make to overexpand. You think about all these like startup sporting leagues, whether it's the XFL or whatever. Like you got to make sure you're not getting over your skis because you can't always count on the fact that it's going to get subsidized by the men's game. But the growing skill level and the more eyeballs on it, and the more stories like Caitlin Clark or UCLA fans being interested in women's
or
UCLA basketball, the more of that hopefully funnels into popularity as we get on to the pro level, and the girls that matriculate up to the pros. So
and even so, that last thing, the argument of like the NBA should help fuel the WNBA. Well, they started to this past All-Star game when you had Sabrina versus Steph. That was fun as hell. I enjoyed that. And then,
and it's been a number of years that the NBA has been making the push to get the WNBA more exposure.
Yeah.
But maybe now it's bearing fruit. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Well, now like it seems like people are paying attention, like the ESPNs and the Fox Sports, and like they're It just kind of blows my mind where there's a gold mine waiting to be tapped, and nobody wants to tap it, and now it's slowly starting to. Everyone's like, oh, I guess there's money that can be made in in women's basketball. It's like, yeah, there is. Help out with that. But anyway, that was
and I don't know how big the gold mine is, or whether they're like kind of creating it from the ground up. But either way, it seems like it's doing better. So that we're all for that. But
anyway,
but oh my God,
didn't expect that tirade.
I'm gonna get to the chopper.
Not tirade, but that sidebar.
I'm gonna get to the chopper myself because I'm the one who started that. But anyways, but hey. Whatever, man. UCLA women's basketball specifically, Mikey, they are finishing up their season, right? And what's going on?
Well,
the season's done.
The regular season, yes, and it was a critical.
And now we have the tournament
weekend because the only thing that was set was that Stanford was going to have the number 1 seed in the Pac-12 tournament. Both UCLA and USC went to the desert to face Arizona. UCLA faced Arizona State first, then Arizona, and vice versa for USC. The Bruins swept as they should have. They were tied for second going into the weekend, but unfortunately, because of the tiebreaker, one of the many tiebreakers, USC gets the number 2 seed simply because they beat Stanford head-to-head.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, the first tiebreaker was...
This is terrible.
Who wins? They split.
What a
so
shame.
it's 1-1. So what happens next? You go towards the tiebreakers between the top of the conference, which is really bizarre, and I get too, but the fact that UCLA... is
That's
number
BS,
1 in the
man.
nation. They have 7 wins over top 25 teams. That should definitely be some sort of consideration. But I get the individual conferences who have to put this tiebreaker out before the season. Yeah, it's a little weak. So unfortunately, USC gets the number 2 and UCLA gets the number 3. Which and the reason that sucks is because
USC do not USC.
USC.
As we talked about last week, the Pac-12 women's basketball conference. 6 teams in the top 25. 2 of them are not going to get a bye.
That's
so
sick.
with UCLA getting that first round bye, sure. At number 3, the unfortunate part is that they will face the winner of number 11 ASU and number 6 Utah. Utah is ranked in the top 25.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a tough game. Most likely Utah's going to win, and that's going to be a tough game for the Bruins who play...
Wait, why do you say most likely Utah's going to win?
Oh, first off, ASU sucks.
Yeah. Oh, you mean that UCLA is going to probably face Utah?
Yes. Sorry,
I'm sorry. That's
if
my
I
fault.
reworded that properly. Yeah, so
my fault.
So the first round starts on Wednesday, which most of you will probably listen to this on Wednesday. And unfortunately, even though Utah's in the top 25, they have to play in that first round. UCLA doesn't, getting the number 3 seed.
Yeah.
But Utah will most likely beat ASU. And then on Thursday night, UCLA will play the winner of that game. Again, most likely Utah. And that's going to be tough.
What is Ute?
Fred Gwynn. Where is he?
I don't have it on the board anymore.
I was waiting for that.
I took all my Pac-12 shit off, so it's like every time we do this, I'm like, I'm done with it. Like I'm trying to turn the page.
We have to come up with more. That's going to be fun. I got to think about that.
Or it's going to be really frustrating. But we'll see.
Yeah. So anyway, the Bruins, they play Thursday night at 8:30 p.m. Yeah, that one sucks.
Sheesh.
And,
here it is.
What is a ute?
Oh, it's still there.
Oh, nice. And if they win that, hopefully they win that one, they will play on Friday night at 7:30 p.m., most likely against USC. And USC is going to play the winner of number 10 Washington or number 7 Arizona. Both of them, not great. USC just, they barely squeaked by an Arizona team, which UCLA handled pretty easily. But we talked last week about Arizona's problems, losing their number one scorer, losing 3 players this season. Yeah, there's apparently rumors of a toxic environment.
That's crazy.
At Arizona.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, I'm not exactly sure about what's going on with that. But most likely there will be a rematch on. Hopefully there will be a rematch between UCLA and USC on Friday night. If the Bruins can get past that one, they will be playing Saturday, 2 p.m. Pacific, against most likely Stanford.
Suck it, Stanford.
Not easy, but I think to really cap this season, UCLA needs some sort of hardware. They obviously didn't get the regular season championship, which I hold, that holds more water for me, having a regular season championship, because that's an entire freaking season as opposed to just a week to get a trophy. But still, that means something. And that will also give UCLA better standing in the NCAA tournament. Oh, and another headline I completely forgot, real quick sidebar.
Oh, forget that. Let's move on from the headlines.
Well, this kind of leads into what I'm talking about.
Is it this?
Sort of.
Okay.
Because, yes, it actually leads into this, to the bracketology. Last Thursday, the Division I Women's Basketball Committee released their first top 16.
Oh, they do that?
Yeah.
Look what I know.
Yeah, kind of like the...
Sure.
What is it in football? The
college football playoff whatever.
Rankings, exactly.
Yeah,
so they do their version of it.
Yeah.
UCLA was number 4 overall. So
maybe that's why
good.
in the Lunardi or whatever, it's their number 1 seed in LA.
Yeah, so they moved back into that number 1 seeding.
Nice.
Which just showed how complicated things can get. The fact that they're a number 3 seed in the Pac-12 tournament, but they're a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament.
Are you going to be at their tournament game when they host in the opening round, theoretically?
Yes, most likely.
I'm going to try
because
to go
they will be.
Remind me when it is so I can try to go.
It will probably be a week from either this Thursday or Friday.
But it'll. Yeah, we don't know what time it'll be.
No.
If it's in a time when I can go, I want to go.
Yeah, because that's the thing too. Because it is the first round. 64 teams. It could be anywhere between.
As of right now,
noon.
the ESPN bracketology has them as the number 1 seed in the Portland bracket, but hosting games in Los Angeles.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
because the regional is broken up into 2 locations, but for the first round, they're being hosted by the highest seeds.
Yeah, it's way different from the men's, because men's you expect that they're all over the place. No, the women's tournament is the first two rounds. Basically, the first weekend is hosting sites.
So UCLA, if they're a top 4 seed, top 4 seed, they will host it somewhere. They'll host it in Los Angeles. Basically.
And then the second weekend for the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8, aka the regionals, 2 of those regionals will be in Albany, and the other 2 will be in Portland. So it's not going to be split up like Portland and Albany and Chicago and Austin, something like that. It's not like that. They're like 2 brackets. 2 out of the 4 brackets will be in Portland. The other 2 out of 4 will
2
be
and
in
4
Albany.
are in Portland,
so UCLA,
and 1 and 3 in Albany. Yeah,
so UCLA wants to be a 1 or 2 seed, potentially in those Portland seedings. Which I at this point I think it'll be hard for them to not go to Portland if they do make it that far. But again, this is all like fun speculation and projection. But all this stuff,
we're not going to know until
a lot of stuff can happen, especially in the next week with the Pac-12 tournament. But let's say UCLA lays a complete egg.
Yeah,
I don't see them dropping out of the top 16 because their resume is pretty packed. I would see them like again, they would probably go down to like a number 3 seed, which hopefully that keeps them in the Portland regional. But you never know. Either way. The point is, win. You win. You're going to stay as local as possible.
How do you think they are currently playing? Like they won like 5 or 6 in a row, right? And they had a pretty good weekend as far as that goes. Are they kind of peaking right now?
This is funny. So after this weekend, I was just looking at both the men's and women's trajectories this season, and it's just so bizarre. From November 6th, whenever the season started, to January 11th, the women went 14-0.
Yes.
The men went 6-10.
Yes.
From January 14th to February 15th, the women went 5-5. The men went 8-1.
Oh, wow.
And we were seeing like, oh, wow, the men are, they're on the up and up. They could potentially get a top 4 spot in the
tournament,
Pac-12 tournament. And the women is like, oh, God, please don't go outside the 4. Please don't go outside the 4. And then from February 16th to this past weekend, the women have gone 6-0, while the men have gone 0-5.
Yeah, and it's
just so they've literally like just been like.
But
two
it's funny
sailboats
though.
Passing in the night.
It's funny too because it's unusual. Like the knock on Corey Close's teams the last few years have been a lot of potential, and they just haven't quite broke through yet, right?
And injuries.
And so I think that's where we, midway through the season, we were very, very concerned that they were yet again,
especially with injuries.
Well, yeah. No, I know for whatever the excuse was, or the reason was,
medically retired. Lauren Betts was out for 4 games. Oh, and then you had Lena Sontag and Angela Dugalich, who went to Brazil for a week to do their qualifiers for the Olympics.
But my point is, like mid-season, I think we were all getting a little bit worried that it was going to be like, oh, this is going to happen again for whatever reason for
exactly.
Women's, and that the men's, we had a lot of faith in Cronin and the program he's established and all that stuff. And we're like, hey, look, they got it turned around. It's all good. And then, the women got the ship back on. Back on
course.
The course, of course. Thank you, Mikey. And then the men kind of fell off and are kind of. There it is, right here.
Oh, wow!
We actually do that.
Back to your question.
To get
how
the
are they
men's
doing?
in a minute, but yeah,
they look like they did in the non-conference season, just knocking off top 25 teams by double digits.
Straight baller.
They're looking like that again. I would say maybe a little bit better because London Jones has emerged. Angela Dugalich has also been a solid outside shooter. Lauren Betts looks back to form. Like that first 2 games, it was like, she played all right, but still a little shaky. Didn't do well against Utah. I think it was the Utah game or Washington. Either way, there was one game where she was just taken out of the equation. Luckily, the rest of the team were able to. It was Oregon State. Luckily, the rest of the team was able to
beaver.
keep keep things going. It was an ugly game. But, defense prevailed, and they were able to get that win. Either way, against Arizona and Arizona State this last weekend, even though both of them are in the bottom 6, they both beat the crap out of the Arizona schools. So they're looking again like that top 4, top 5, definitely a top 10 team.
Well, it's good. Okay, so you think it's important that the women come away with some hardware, which at this point the hardware to come away with would be the Pac-12 tournament title.
Or I'm down for hanging a Final Four banner.
Well,
I think that would be a huge accomplishment. But because in her tenure, Corey Close has been to the Sweet 16 many times, only to the Elite 8 once.
Yeah.
To break through that, and we've talked about how recruiting has just been freaking phenomenal. And she's going to get more reinforcements next year. You're going to lose potentially 5 players, maybe only 3. Dugalich and Bessoir walked on senior day, but both of them still have 1 year of eligibility. Now, I inquired about that, and the decision has not been made. So still, UCLA has a solid class coming in, and I think they're just going to keep rolling. But to prove that they are this elite team, they have to get some sort of hardware.
Well, I will say this. If the ESPN bracketology is good at predicting things, I would take this prediction because hopefully they keep their number 1 seed in the Portland 4.
Mm-hmm.
And then on their road to the Final Four, right, they could possibly run into the number 2 seed in this Portland region, which is none other than
that would be
Iowa. In a Elite 8 matchup to go to the Final Four, you're playing college basketball's bright star and the next WNBA superstar in Caitlin Clark, that would be legit. And I think that would be a huge game for, exposure-wise for UCLA and just for the sport. That'd be awesome.
I mean, you have Charisma Osborne. She's just gonna lock her down and hold her to like 12 points. So
whatever happens, whatever. Look, this is mad speculation because nobody knows what the actual matchups are going to be. But that would be kind of fun just looking at it on paper. So
yeah, exactly.
All right. Anyways, Mikey, I think we've talked a lot of women's basketball at this point, and I'm going to once again.
I think we've talked more. I think we've talked more women's basketball in this last segment than all other podcasts combined in the local LA area.
That's probably true, but let's not congratulate ourselves too much.
I'm just saying.
But yes, good. Cheers to you, Mike. That's good.
Cheers to us.
Let's talk some men's basketball now.
Mm-hmm.
Much more solemn tones because they're just kind of, not kind of like the Chip Kelly era, not with a bang but with a whimper. The USC or the UCLA. Geez, the regular season is ending. Yeah.
The Gothic segment is back.
That's right, yeah. Mikey, they had a road trip. They went up to Washington.
Wow.
They got their asses handed to them in the first game.
Yeah.
And then they battled in the second game.
Yeah.
And but still came up short.
Mm-hmm.
And, for this particular season, the bell is tolling. Right? They got a couple games left. And then a Pac-12 tournament appearance.
It's not good, man. It's a bit crap, yeah.
And that's probably it, right? So, what do you have to say about UCLA men's basketball right now, at this point, coming to the end of the season?
You know what's weird is before I do my weekly stat articles, and I like to look real deep into all the numbers. Obviously, we can see what's happening, with our own eyes every game. But looking at the numbers, it gives me more of a visual of how not just the team is doing, but how individual players are doing.
Yeah.
This was a weird weekend because UCLA, before this weekend, up at the Washington schools, UCLA, they've had decent defense all season long, and their offense, especially 2 weeks ago, just kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
It was different this week, but unfortunately, it couldn't save them because their offense was actually pretty freaking good. It was.
Yeah, that first game against Washington, they were turning it up.
Yeah.
But too bad they couldn't stop.
The drawback is, UCLA scored 77 points, which is way above their season average. The drawback is that Washington scored 94. That was backed by, and I wrote about this in my 2 weeks ago, my stats article, that UCLA has not only been allowing more 3-point attempts, but also 3-pointers made. And then you have Washington, where, God, Washington made 15 3-pointers.
Yeah.
Attempted 24.
62.5% from three.
From 3-point land.
Yeesh.
And that was the most for the season.
In the immortal words of Stu Lance, that will not get it done.
Exactly. And then allowing 55.6% shooting from the field.
Yeesh.
That, where did their defense go?
I really enjoyed Mick Cronin's thoughts on that game. I think I heard it after the broadcast, and he's just like, yeah, we can't rebound, and we don't want to stop nobody, and we want to watch shots go up and pout and all this yada yada yada, and it's like, yeesh.
Yeah. Be weird to be in that locker room, which apparently was quite loud again.
Oh yeah,
so, yeah. Yeah, this team, you look at the offensive numbers and wow, they really had quite a bit,
Home Quote Explorer.
quite a bit of improvement on that end. And, obviously, they attempted more shots and had more field goals made. But especially with the quick pace of the game, that was probably due to the fact that there were more possessions. Because also, Washington scored 94 freaking points.
Yeah, that's a lot of points.
That's just bizarre for a Mick Cronin team to allow. And yeah, you do have to go back to the fact that these are new guys learning the game and a lot of freshmen,
a lot of young dudes.
But
all the young dudes.
Yeah. Oh, David Bowie reference, nice.
Yeah, there you go. It's for you, Mike.
But they some guys regress. Some, like Will McClendon didn't do so hot, and obviously he got a weird phantom flagrant 3, which that I.
What'd you think about that one?
Yeah, what the hell is going on with the refs? Like,
I do know that Mick Cronin said after the game, he basically was like, "Yeah, we, this is coming off the Washington game, but then after Washington State, he's like, yeah, we lost, yada yada yada, we lost, but the refs really suck, and no matter what you want to say, the refs really suck, and we're out there trying to play, and they, and all the fouls are on us." I think that was his direct quote. All the fouls are on us.
Wait, and it was weird too in the Washington game. The team gets 3 fouls in the first 20 seconds, and Mick Cronin complains about it, and he gets automatically teed up.
Sheesh.
It's like, whatever it is with the production of this young team, that was just weird to see. It's like, what the hell's going on? I don't want to say that the refs have a vendetta against Mick Cronin, but they're not really disproving that. You know, it just seemed like there were a lot of silly fouls and just really quick on the whistle, like with the flagrant, the technical. It's like, just let them play.
And home cooking is always, it's been a part of sports for, since sports have been around. But I don't know. I mean, it's tough when it's a tough game. Bad.
It was a tough game to watch too. It's like, Jesus, just let them play. And even though the pace of the game was faster against Washington than it was against Washington State, it's just still like, what the hell's going on? What are we doing here?
Mike, do you think that, so, you spelled it out a minute ago when you're talking about the women's team, peaking and then having a lull and then peaking again, and the men's team being the inverse of that, right?
Yeah.
So, early on, I thought the guys battled, like early in the season, the non-con season, they battled early, had a couple very close losses against pretty good competition.
Yeah.
And then really, really faltered and stumbled at the end of the non-con and stumbled at the beginning of the Pac-12 play, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's accurate. And then seemingly they got it together and were playing very, very good, especially relative to how they'd been playing earlier in the season. Not as good as any other Mick Cronin team at UCLA, certainly, because these are a bunch of young guys and stuff, but they were playing pretty darn good, undeniably good, and they were winning games, competing. And then they kind of hit a wall again. Mm-hmm. And, like I said, it's ending with a whimper, not a bang.
Yeah.
Do you think that this is some sort of like young guy wall, freshman wall these guys are hitting, and it's kind of trailing off? How much of it do you think it's that? How much of it do you think it's other things? What would you point to this faltering at the end? Just other teams basically being better than them, and there's just nothing they can do about it? Like, how would you characterize, or what would you do to explain the way that the season has ended? Because they really got themselves back to position to be able to compete, and then they stopped competing.
Yeah, and a lot of that has to do with just being stagnant, just being maybe tired at this, because I can see fresh.
That would be the wall, right?
I could see 3 freshmen, a school that has a class of 3 freshmen coming in, and they hit a wall. But yet your sophomores and juniors and seniors, they know what to expect. They're ready for it.
Yeah.
When you have 2 freshmen in your starting lineup, you have 8 total. And even the guys that you're depending on, like Burke, didn't play much. And Adaimara, they're just like not used to it, I guess. And I don't know if they're not used to Mick Cronin's style of play, but I think all of that accounts for it. You just maybe just being tired, not being acclimated. Just when you're relying on just 3 guys like Dylan Andrews, Lazar Stefanovic, and Adam Bona to get you through every single game. Jesus.
Sorry. It's been so sparing over the
get you through every single game. That's not going to help, especially when sometimes you have Adam Bona just not being able to. Oh God,
it's not going to be every time.
Just getting into foul trouble most games. That's not helping either.
Yeah.
But I was going to touch upon this earlier.
Oh, sorry. That was inadvertent. Oh, that's inadvertent too. I'm trying to turn it down.
Lord.
Is that better? Okay. There we go.
Spring is eternal. We're almost on spring. Spring is almost upon us.
What were you going to say, Mike?
No, actually, in these last 2 games, you saw Dylan Andrews kind of come alive.
Oh my God! I have breaking news.
What?
I'm sorry. how many more games are left in the season? There's 2 games left, right?
Yes.
Where's my breaking news button? God damn it, Mike.
I
Where'd
don't
it go?
know, Jake.
Oh, here it is.
What's brewing?
Breaking news on a weekly basis.
Now, Mike,
Justin.
you can see the screen, right?
Yeah.
I'm at UCLA.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at UCLABruins.com. Okay, and I go to sports.
They redid this website this year, and it's been so weird and twitchy.
Well, all I know is I went to UCLABruins.com. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I go to men's basketball. Okay. Is there a men's basketball page there? Yeah, it says men's basketball to host number 5 Arizona on Thursday night.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but I was going to go look like, what is the freshman sophomore mix or whatever? Because you're talking about it, and I want to have it up there in case I need to reference it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I click on the roster for men's basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, what does it say?
404.
You tossed an air ball. Mick Cronin, after these 4 losses in a row, I think he might have cut all of these players. Mike, can you confirm or deny that there are actually UCLA basketball players, men's basketball players left on the roster? Or are they
There
just
better
like,
be, 'cause
has
they're-
he just got rid of them all? Do we know this?
Jake, you see,
Are we going to know? Like, they got to go play Arizona, don't they?
I think it's
What
just
the hell's
that link.
happening?
That's the thing. Okay, so
Oh my God.
here's another complaint I've had
This is
about
crazy.
this. When you click on the individual players,
Sure.
it usually goes to
There's
their,
no
to their
players
bio.
left. They cut them all.
No, I know,
Oh,
but that was the
okay.
link from that. See that yellow strip? Go to the right side.
The yellow strip.
Oh,
Get
wait, go back,
tickets?
go back to where you were,
Oh,
where it
shit.
says 404.
Okay, yeah,
There you
4 to
go.
4.
Now you
Yeah. Sure.
okay, now
Over here?
what the heck?
See? It's not there
Scroll
anymore.
up.
Bro,
Wow.
I'm telling you.
That's crazy.
There's no players on this team. The roster is non-existent. He cut everybody. No, they're all expelled. That's the power of Mick
We
Cronin.
took all the scholars.
He's like, forget it. Okay,
We're
gonna
out.
have to,
We're
gonna
done.
check on that.
We're done.
We don't know if that's breaking news or not.
We're gonna confirm.
I can't confirm or deny, but I'm going to take a picture of this.
That was good timing.
Oh my
That was
God!
perfect timing.
Yeah, okay. UCLA men's roster. Gee whiz! Holy smokes! I think that's going to be the photo for the podcast.
Oh
All right,
my, awesome.
Mike. We're looking at if they do, in fact, still have players on the team.
Yeah.
They're going to be playing the Zona schools.
Yeah.
The Zona zones. That'd be the Arizona Wildcats, who are doing pretty good, and then it'd be this guy's.
The spastic Arizona State team.
Do you think that UCLA men's basketball finishes their season, assuming they don't go to some sort of NIT tournament or whatever? Do they finish the season on a losing streak, or do they break through with some sort of win at this point? What's your best guess at this point, big guy?
I don't know, because they have been playing they've been playing so differently than they did like during that 9-game stretch where they went 8-1.
Yeah.
I could see them beating Arizona State because it's Arizona State.
The spastic Arizona State team.
I just don't see them, especially if their defense, if we see a repeat of their defense from this last weekend against Arizona, who's second in the nation with 90.5 points per
They're
game.
probably not beating Arizona.
No.
Okay, we can
probably
say
not.
that, right?
No. We could say that, yes.
Yeah.
I could see them beating Arizona State, and then they go into a Pac-12 tournament, which they do not have a bye at this point. And if they lose, currently they're number 6. So that loss against Arizona will most likely keep them. Will keep
Who do
them
the
out of the
Golden Bears
top
have?
4. Oh, I don't know.
Let's see. Who are the Golden Bears playing?
what
Because
are
they're
the-
right behind the Bruins in the standings.
Mm-hmm.
The Golden Bears are going to finish with Stanford. Oh my gosh, they have a rivalry game against Stanford.
Mm-hmm.
The Golden Bears are going to win that, right? I'm telling you that right now.
Go Bears.
Go Bears are going to end up, Mark Madsen and his team is going to end up 10-10 in the conference. How does that work, though? Because that'll be 10-10. The Bruins
Are 9-9 currently. They would be 10-10 as well. Well, this is a bad conference.
You're right.
Like the Pac-12 has not been good. Like, okay, number 1 Arizona is 14-4. Number 2 Washington State is 14-5.
Yeah.
Colorado's number 3. Well, there's a tie between Colorado and Oregon, who are 11-7, and then you go to Utah 9-9, UCLA 9-9, California 9-10. Can you imagine this Utah team is 9-9, just like UCLA, but they destroyed UCLA in Salt Lake City and then had that last second shot against the Bruins at Pauley Pavilion. That just shows how wacky this conference is. How it just not great.
They could
this
really
year.
end up matched up against each other very early in the Pac-12 tournament. I don't know how that works. But, okay, this is what I'm saying, though. To answer, you think they're going to beat ASU?
Yes.
Because they better.
So that would put them at 10-10.
Uh-huh. And they give them a, depending on how Cal does.
Yeah.
That would either going to...
And Utah.
Yeah, in Utah. Who's Utah play?
We are not good at this. They're at Oregon State.
So are the Utes? What are you picking?
Which
Are you picking
Oregon
nice
State
Beavers?
is
Beaver.
Or are you picking the Utes?
Oh no, Utes.
What is a
'cause
Ute?
Oregon State is 4-14.
Okay. Okay. Well, I guess going back to my original question, Mike, and it's like, is UCLA men's basketball going to get another victory at some point this season, or are they going to finish out on some sort of losing streak? Right.
In the postseason? Yeah.
Period.
Or-
like right now,
yeah.
they lost 4 in a row.
Yeah.
I think earlier we said 5 in a row. We're wrong. They've lost 4 in a row.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of those things where it's like, if they don't beat one of these Arizona schools,
They
it's
could drop to
much
7 or
more
8,
likely
yeah.
that they're going to end the season with the losing streak, because they're probably going to play
Yeah.
something like in that first round. They could play the Trojans. They could play the Huskies, right? They could play,
With both have beat the Bruins.
depending on what, if they lose to both ASU and Arizona, like they're probably going to be in a tough game regardless.
Yeah.
And even if they if they manage to win both games, they're still going to be, there's not going to be an easy matchup for them. I don't know how it's going to.
No.
If they're going to get a win, I think to end the season,
The spastic Arizona State team.
they might as well get it done right there.
Yeah.
Right. Let's not count on them beating Arizona, although nothing's impossible, but it's probably not.
They almost beat them, but
Yeah.
UCLA is in a different position right now.
This is
Different
a
spot.
poly though, right?
Yes.
So at least maybe we hope for some home cooking. That'd be
Yeah.
nice.
And nothing has been announced about a sellout, which is weird because a month ago they were promoting the fact that this is going to be a stripe out.
Oh,
Yeah.
What the hell's a stripe out?
They're going to have a blue section,
How
a
the hell
white
are they gonna
section,
do that?
a blue. I don't know.
They don't know who's going to go to the game.
That's the other thing too.
Come
It's
on,
like,
Mike. This is
Yeah.
very complicated.
Yeah, it's.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, here, let's hope the Bruins win a game so they don't end on like a 7-game losing streak.
Yeah, that'd be bad.
When we look at going into the offseason,
Oh, wait, hold that thought.
Please.
If they do lose, if this becomes a losing season, this will be only the 5th time in 75 years. That's insane.
well, and they're 1 game under 500 right now.
Yeah.
So if they split the Arizona schools, they would need to
Win
2 games to guarantee. I mean, that's
I don't know if that's possible. It's not impossible, but
it's not.
Woof.
But well, I mean, to me, that's something to play for right there.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Even with this team with a bunch of young guys. And by the way, I'm still not sure if UCLA has any players because their website lists them as, an airball. But according to ESPN, right, you're looking at a team that's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 freshmen on it, a couple sophomores, and a junior like Lazar Stefanovic.
Yeah.
Another junior like, nobody else that plays. Okay, wait. No.
No,
nobody.
Lazar's he's the elder.
Yeah. Logan.
Cremonesi,
Yeah.
walk on. Yeah.
No, I know. I was saying
What is it?
he's not
Exactly.
he count as a junior. I mean,
Yeah.
God bless him. But yeah. Anyways. Kenny Nuba. I mean, we're forgetting Kenny Nuba.
That's what it is. Yes.
Yeah, he's the senior. He's a senior leadership.
Uh-huh.
Anywho's, if they managed, I mean, that's enough effort right there. I think let's get to 500
Mm-hmm.
and the quest for 500.
Go on the quest for 500.
UCLA basketball 2024.
Nice.
The quest for 500.
Yeah.
All right, let's see how that goes.
Don't have a losing season. How about that?
Right? Because you know what? UCLA men's basketball players who we're not even sure are still on the roster.
Is it sometimes hard?
Do you think girls like failures?
Do
Girls
they?
want someone with proven success.
No.
Have you won any awards? Like a Congressional Medal of Honor? Or a Nobel Peace Prize?
Or finished 500 in
What are your real
Pac-12?
estate holdings? Do you have a diversified portfolio?
I mean, it's going to
That's
be a
peanuts,
long,
right?
It's going to be a long, dry spring if these guys can't finish above 500.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Come on,
yeah.
UCLA men's basketball, get it together.
Yeah.
All right, good.
Yeah, so.
All right.
Okay.
This might be the last. Wait, Sebastian Mack is a freshman? Oh,
Yes.
is he coming back next year?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so we can still play this. Who's the Mac?
We could. Do you still have Return of the Mac?
No. Well, it's Return of the Zach.
Ah.
Yeah, but we have this. Does Bona come back next year?
Question
How about
mark?
Lazar?
Probably.
All right, whatever. Let's talk about this later.
Yeah.
Anyways,
We're done here.
the quest for 500. I think we should have put the button on it right then.
Mm-hmm.
There it is.
There it is. Okay.
All right, let's go.
Do you think we drink too much?
No, we don't drink too much. Men face reality, women don't. That's why men need to drink.
I hate it when podcasters talk about what they're drinking.
What else am I gonna drink, Bob? A fucking Fresca?
No Frescas tonight on the What's Bruin Show.
Yeah, because Bill's not here.
That's right. I know. Where's that fucker? Welcome to the What's Bruin Symposium. Symposium is a conversation over drinks, and that's what we're doing here tonight. Mikey, you got a beer over there. I think is it one of the ones I bought you?
Yeah, longboard. Kona.
There we go.
Love the Kona. This is usually a favorite of mine for the summer. Just a nice, chilled out lager.
Summer's almost
But it's
here.
been nice. We have rain tomorrow, but yeah, summer's almost here. Yeah.
Oh, very good. I am having I went on a sojourn up to Berkeley this week to go see my wonderful daughter Megan for her birthday. Happy birthday, Megan.
Go Bears.
Go Bears indeed. And as is my new ritual now, whenever I go up there, I have to go to a Bay Area Costco because they often have a very nice mix of bottles over there to sell, whiskey and whatnot. And this time was no different. I actually got a nice bottle of single barrel Bullet, and
Bullet's good.
It is, and the single barrel is very, very good. I would say, 52% alcohol for 104 proof, and I got a nice bottle of this for a very, very reasonable price. It was about $41, and I think if I would have gone to Total Wine & More, it would have been like 57 or more. So always love to get a good bargain, and that's what I'm drinking tonight, and it's very, very, very good. Thank you for supporting What's Bruin Show and sending us into the future by subscribing on patreon.com or / What's Bruin Show or just what'sbruinshow.com for how much, Mike?
$2.
Just $2 a month.
$2.
Or on the Substack, what'sbruin.substack.com for a little bit more than how much, Mike?
$2.
$2.
And for subscribing, you get access to the Slack channel. You also get some special podcasts that I'll do, like the Mallcast, or if Mike ever does a special podcast ever. It's all right.
I know. I was trying to do those specs, and I wasn't able to do the women's post game consistently.
Hey,
but that's something to shoot for, and I have gotten really good reaction. Yeah,
and the next season's a new season.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, it's all there.
Anyways, we have stuff to plan for. We're already planning for the off season, and we have some big plans.
That's right.
We have big plans.
We'll see if they come to fruition. But thank you for your supporting What's Bruin Show for over a decade. And me and Mike are still here, and we love you all. And give us your how much, Mike?
$2.
$2.
Like this line from one of my favorite movies, SLC Punk, just came to me. First two punks, last two punks.
Love the Lillard. Very good.
Oh, man, I love that movie.
All right. Good job, Mikey.
Mm-hmm.
Blue 32! Blue 32! California! Hey! Football!
So we will talk about the additions to Coach Deshaun Foster's coaching staff.
Hey, Mike.
But first,
Hey, Mike.
we need to talk.
Don't talk to me. Don't talk to me.
Are you done?
Don't talk to me.
Are you done with Chip?
Chip Kelly.
Chip Kelly can kind of be a dick.
He did his first press conference for the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Yep.
And I teased it before, but there was a pretty savage headline. Ben Bolch calling him a quiet quitter. I
did not once hear him say anything about books and ball.
Not one thing.
Wonder why.
Yeah, I don't know.
Wonder why.
He did do a nice, it was like a half-hour press conference for Ohio State. And I will tell you this, Mike. I am very, 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 very conflicted because even now, just listening to Chip, even though, we have all these scars from the Chip Kelly era,
Chip Kelly's coming for you.
First two, that was that, and then it was this.
I think Chip Kelly is probably the worst coach in the Pac-12 right now.
By the end of it, it just I've said it 5 times this show, but not with a bang, but with a whimper. Kelly slinks out of town and goes to the Ohio State University, and now he's going to win a national title with the Buckeyes, and I'm going to be pissed when it happens.
And you know why?
Why?
Because he has freaking 5 stars. 4 and 5 stars, all across the board.
He has everything that any coach would want to, any toys he wants to play with. He's got him over there at the Ohio State and whatever.
And he has less stress on him.
all that stuff.
Whatever.
But Mike, we listened to his press conference before we started the show. Anything jump out at you about what he had to say? Talking in his new role as the Ohio State offensive coordinator under his good friend, the Ryan Day over there.
Well,
in Columbus.
That one thing where he said about what was it, John Lennon, I think, where he's referencing
just be happy.
Yeah, just be happy. And
happy.
He goes, well,
happy.
I'm paraphrasing, but he
Happy.
said that he wants to be happy by just doing just focusing on football.
Yeah, he said he had a realization when he was coaching in the bowl game and Ryan Gunderson had left, and now he's going to be the quarterback's coach. And his wonderful bride said, hey, you've never been happier.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, hey, maybe I should stop coaching.
Yeah.
As a head coach and just go coach as a, position
coach. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever, bro.
Well, so what did that bring to mind when he said that? Because what it brought to mind me is like, well, then why don't you fucking quit in December, dick? I mean, seriously. Why did you drag this on?
Hey,
why do we have to hire a head coach in February?
Jake, how do you really feel?
Not. Oh. Dude, this
Why
is how I
no?
feel.
Like Chip Kelly can kind of be a dick.
That's it. Dude, listening to that half-hour press conference,
it was
I
sad.
was struck by the fact that I still like listening to Chip Kelly talk.
I do, and
but F him in his effing ass because
Jesus.
I mean, come on, man.
No, you're not
this
wrong.
Fucking
Especially because
game of chicken they played is bullshit.
Both you and I were like, hey, we would like to see Chip Kelly succeed. And even though he was slowly getting there, this last season did not help with that. My favorite thing with Chip Kelly was just the fact that he was innovative. Like
Chip Kelly?
Yeah, this last season notwithstanding. But, especially with DTR, Charbonnet, just coming up with very creative schemes, very creative ways of getting downfield. Which it was awe-inspiring. It was fun to watch. Too bad that the offense was good and the defense sucked for many years, and then they switched, and the defense was just rock solid this past season, and the offense was like, meh.
Well, because UCLA sold their souls to yet another 5-star fraud.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
More.
And that's the thing.
No,
that was the only.
I don't. I don't. This is a long clip.
And
that's going to kick off.
That was like,
it's going to get us kicked off YouTube.
I was thinking
Never mind
about that. I was trying to speak over that.
Never mind.
Yeah, you sell your soul for this one 5-star, and then he bolts, and then you bolt, and now it's in shambles. Look, I have been, was a fan of Chip Kelly, because I like what he was doing, and I thought that it would get incrementally better, which it did. It did take too long. He talks about books and ball, and now he goes to a place where, you play football? We'll figure out a way for you to get in here.
They're all pros.
Yeah, and now he doesn't have to worry about it.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. No,
not at all. But at the same time, there is integrity, wearing, those 4 letters on the side of the helmet. And I really hope that Deshaun Foster, for many reasons, but with a little bit of pettiness, a little bit of spite, I hope he does become successful in recruiting and actual gameplay to where UCLA does become a threat in the Big Ten. Will it happen? I don't know. I think they're a little bit behind the 8 ball, but like Chip Kelly, kind of in Lane Kiffin fashion, he just fell upwards.
Chip Kelly can kind of be a dick.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, just finally, sure, he might be taking a pay cut, but dude, he has money. He's not worried about that. Yeah, good for him.
He's going to win a national title. It's going to piss me off.
And good for him that he wants to go put his craft somewhere where it's going to be put to very good use. But the fact that he just left this program in shambles after, spouting books and ball and doing golden tickets and 8-clap-eighths and crap like that. Yeah, now he doesn't have to worry about it. Now it's not his problem. And that sucks because when it was his problem, he didn't do anything about it.
Well, and that's what bugs me is just like I said before. If you had that realization, then just leave the job. You could have left the job. You could have resigned. You could have done whatever you did because that's what you ended up doing. But you just waited a month and a half to do it, and you put the program in a much worse position than if you would have, just left when you supposedly had this realization. So that's freaking bullshit. And I as much as I liked Kelly when he was here, that's always going to rub me the wrong way. And he is going to be completely rehabilitated after this season when Ohio State inevitably wins at a very high level. Yeah. And, and UCLA, he was hired to elevate UCLA back to where it had been in the, for most of its history up until the 2000s.
Yeah.
Kelly was the hire that UCLA made to elevate them, and he completely failed in that mission. Like, if the standard was, you're going to make UCLA into a kind of sort of middling Pac-12 team in the last years of the Pac-12 and kind of tread water like UCLA had been treading water for the last 20 years, then mission accomplished, Chip. But I don't think that's why they hired him. I don't think that's why they took the big swing. And so for any other characterization than that is completely obnoxious, and it really kills me, because that's really the thing that sucks about this whole dynamic is now that UCLA is going into the Big Ten, now that they are kind of abandoning, all the college football history is kind of going by the wayside at this point, and they're going into the Big Ten as just another football team. I was thinking about this the other day, Mike, and this is something I want to come back to, next week or the week after or whatever. UCLA has all of this history with all of these Pac-10 especially, but even the Pac-12 teams. And just off the top of my head, I want to say that UCLA had a winning record against every single Pac-12 team except for USC.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's actually right, but if they don't,
it was more than 75%.
Yeah, I think, absolutely, right? Because historically, UCLA has been a very good football program. In the last 20 years, it's been about as mediocre as it's ever been. Since we're talking pre-1950, right? But now that you've abandoned all that history of the Pac-12, right? And by the way, once again, this is going back to the Chip Kelly point. Chip Kelly was supposed to elevate them back to where they were, and he completely failed. But now, one of the most frustrating things about going into the Big Ten now is going to be listening to all of these people who are steeped in Big Ten history, accepting UCLA in there along with Oregon and Washington and USC or whatever. And just because of how mediocre UCLA has been for the last 20 years, they are by far fourth out of the four teams entering in on the kind of the pecking order of how everybody views them.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be that way.
Yeah.
It really shouldn't. But at a certain point, us UCLA fans are going to have to, I'd love to talk to Wayne Cook the next time he's on the show or whatever, if we could ever pry him away from the goddamn Bruin Bible. You sons of bitches. Thieving sons of bitches. Love you well. But anywho, by the way, I think Wayne will talk to anybody about football any time of day. So we just have to all we have to do is call him, but whatever. But anyways, get back to the point. All of us UCLA fans who, like me, I was in school the last time they were really, really, really good, threatening a national title good under Kate McDown. Mike, you got there right at the end of that era too. Somebody like the Godfather's been watching UCLA. He was a UCLA fan through the 80s and all the Rose Bowls and all that stuff. And well before that too, Beeman and OJ and all that.
Yeah.
But now it's been so long, and the Mora years were fun years. It was 3 years of really nice football and then trailing off after that. Dorrell had one good year. And other than that, the last 25 years-ish has just been absolutely mediocre. So at what point were we just like, well, I guess that's what we are? And we're kind of pinning our hopes to Deshaun Foster in a weird hiring after a weird cycle when Chip Kelly walked out on us. And it's like, going to the Big Ten, UCLA has an opportunity to kind of establish themselves. But it's like everything has happened to the point to where they're starting kind of behind the eight ball or starting at a deficit when they really need to reestablish themselves as a major brand in college football.
Yeah.
And it's, and as optimistic as some people might be about the hiring, we'll talk about the addition to the coaching staff in a minute.
Yeah.
But it's like, this is not the way to enter into a new conference.
Yeah.
And on the one hand, the expectations are lowered, so they have the chance to overachieve, and that's good. But they're going to have to like really take shit seriously and win a little bit before anybody gives them any sort of respect that they're due. Because right now, like I said, they're pretty low on the pecking order. People are kind of thinking of them as an afterthought. And, oh my gosh, they entered the Big Ten just because of the financial situation.
Yeah.
And then all that's bullshit. The bottom line is UCLA can be as good as probably anybody if they get it right.
Yeah.
Certainly they could be a top third team across the country, I think. Basically a perennial top 25 team if they just do it medium.
Yeah.
But right now, they don't have any of that, and they need to really get that established. I'm spitballing here, Mike, but that's one of the things that I reacted to watching Kelly give his bullshit press conference for those bullshit Buckeyes.
Let me sum it up for you. Chip Kelly basically Tanya Harding'd the UCLA football program.
Well, I don't know who Jeff Galileo would be in that situation, Mikey, but I think I have to agree with you, and it's a bummer. So I don't know.
Chip Kelly's attitude,
turning the page, from Chip Kelly. I mean, we got sidetracked at the beginning of the show, and we're getting a little bit sidetracked right here with
Chip Kelly.
But getting on to actual current UCLA football news, there's been some more additions to the coaching staff. Number one, we have a new linebackers coach. Welcome to former Bruin great Robert Thomas.
Former linebackers coach at Modern Day.
That's what I'm really wondering about, Mike. Okay, I'm trying to be optimistic. And certainly if you have a guy that theoretically gives you a pipeline to Modern Day, fine, that's great. However,
that actually would be really great.
Normally, when you go to a guy's like Wikipedia page, it has listed out their coaching jobs, and even the high school stuff could be listed.
Yeah.
Normally, if you like look at an article on a guy, it'll say like when they were on a staff, or if you search like Robert Thomas, Modern Day, blah 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 blah. And it's not like I'm a huge high school football fan. I might be speaking from complete ignorance here, but it is unclear to me exactly how much Robert Thomas has coached at Modern Day and the other school. I can't remember what it is right now off the top of my head. But over the last 10 years, he was a UCLA assistant in 2015 under Mora. But then after that, I don't know exactly how much coaching he's been doing or not doing or whatever. Now, regardless, he's a UCLA great. He played in the NFL. He obviously knows a lot about football. And I'm sure he could be a quality linebackers coach. But for you to be adding a guy, like you're going from Ken Norton, who is like a Hall of Famer, Super Bowl winner, NFL football coach, has a DC under his title, even though, how much he was actually DC is debatable, whatever, under Pete Carroll. Coached for a long time at a very high level, college and pros.
Yeah.
And now we're going to Robert Thomas, who has never coached anywhere above a high school level, and we're supposed to paint this as some sort of celebration, like hit the horns. I don't quite understand that, although I will fully acknowledge jury is out. Like it could be a good hire.
Oh yeah.
But how would we know if it's a good hire, right? And that's just for Robert Thomas. I haven't got to the O-line coach yet.
Yeah.
How are you reacting to the Robert Thomas hire? Are you like, or are you like, or somewhere in between? I imagine somewhere in between.
Well, when this news broke, I was with a friend of the show, Kelly Honeybunny, and I go, wow, UCLA just hired Robert Thomas from...
and she said,
from
the hockey
Modern
player?
Day. No, she says, she goes, from Matchbox 20?
I love Kelly.
That's exactly, I was like, yeah, it's a good point. It's like, I get a lot of the negative Nelly's opinions when they talk about bringing in all these, bringing in coaches with experience, pedigree, coaching at a high level. This is UCLA. Is Robert Thomas the best that you could do, or is Robert Thomas the best that you can do at this moment? And again, maybe he's going to kick ass. Maybe it's just, it'll all come together when the coaching staff comes together and figures out what they want to do with this program. But it is a little bit of like, okay, yes, Modern Day has been a freaking powerhouse, not just locally, regionally, nationally. That's something to hang your hat on. Having a pipeline, that would be cherry on top. But what has he done to bring together, a Power 5 defense? Well, as you said, he doesn't have that much experience. So maybe Deshaun Foster sees something in him. Maybe Akaika Malo sees that he can help out with this. But it is, at this point, you just got to have some hope, I guess. But it's the hope that kills.
As our friend Jamal says. And Ted Lasso and all that. That's very true. But look, and I'm not saying this is a bad hire. I'm just saying, like, how do we know what kind of hire it is until we actually see how it produces on the field? But, it's certainly a downgrade from Ken Norton. And by the way, I always thought that everybody's talking about Ken Norton. I thought it was a little overstated, his impact on the coaching staff from the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. Not that I don't think it wasn't impactful, but that would be something that someone who was talking about the UCLA coaching staff would wax on about very poetically. And I just thought, okay, fine. I'm sure he's a good coach, and I'm sure that he has all the coaching chops necessary and the gravitas to recruit and yada yada yada. Right? Absolutely no questioning Ken Norton's credentials. Robert Thomas, I remember him as a player. I thought he was awesome. Mm-hmm. And we have, all I'm saying is that when you look up any of the stories about Robert Thomas being hired, it's like he recently coached at Mater Dei and I can't remember the other high school, but it's another powerhouse high school. Yeah. And that's great. Maybe he's getting a shot. Maybe he's going to come in with a ton of energy. But it's unknown, right? Yeah. And it's unknown just like Deshaun Foster as a first-year head coach is an unknown. Yeah. It might work out, but it's an unknown, okay? Yeah. And Eric Bienemy as a offensive coordinator in college football could be awesome, right? And it's certainly that is the thing that UCLA is like kind of hanging its hat on in this weird delayed coaching cycle where they had to hire a coach in February and keep going from there. It could be awesome, but it's still an unknown. Yeah. Because we don't know how Bienemy's going to do. We don't know how he's going to be motivated. Mm-hmm. It's not like he has a proven track record at this level, calling a college offense and also recruiting. So it's an unknown as well. And that leads us to Tim Drevno being let go or allowed to leave in favor of apparently Eric Bienemy's choice as an offensive line coach.
That does seem like that was how this unraveled.
What do you mean? Explain that.
Because they've worked together.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying but we didn't know that last week. If you would have told us that Tim Drevno was going to be retained as the offensive line coach, we'd say, okay, because guess what? They just signed him to an extra 2 years a couple weeks ago, right? Yeah. So this is like the first one where it's like, okay, they signed this guy, but he's not going to mesh with this new staff, so they're actually going to eat whatever money they paid him on his contract and allow him to leave or whatever. I don't know how this is going to work. But anywho, the offensive line coach is no longer Tim Drevno. Thank you for your service. Mm-hmm. Now it is Juan Castillo, who is an NFL lifer, pretty much, and now he finds himself back in college football after a brief stint as an analyst with the Wolverines in 2019. Other than that, he has been employed in the NFL for 30 years, basically. Mm-hmm. Almost 30 years. Back to 1995 with the Eagles. Mm-hmm. Okay,
Go Birds.
Go Birds. I'm sorry. Hold on. Hold on. With the Philadelphia Eagles. Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Thank you. Anyways, Mike is such a Philadelphia guy now. It's insane.
How did this happen?
Yeah. This guy is
for another
an NFL lifer. He is a guy with a hell of a lot of credentials as an offensive line coach, as a defensive coordinator, as a run game coordinator, analyst, all these different things. Nobody is doubting the fact that this guy probably knows more about football than 99.9% of the population. Mm-hmm. He's forgot more about football than 99.9% of the population has ever known about football, right? However, okay, this is a guy that just came from, what was his most recent post? The Washington Commanders, along with Eric Bienemy, who was hired by Deshaun Foster after he was not fired by Washington, but not exactly retained either, okay? Mm-hmm. He chose to leave. Mm-hmm. And now there's another guy that maybe he wasn't fired by the Commanders, but he also was not retained by the Commanders. And so it's kind of like a little bit of a getting the band back together situation in Westwood. And all I would say is, Mike, is this guy who has spent exactly one season in college football in the last 30 years prepared to recruit offensive linemen? This guy's like 67 years old, 65 years
64, yeah.
64, I'm sorry. Hey, I'm sorry I'm dating you, Mr. Castillo. But is he going to be like motivated to recruit? Is he going to know what to recruit or how to recruit or whatever? Like, I'm sure he knows talent. I mean, obviously, that's stupid. I mean, that's stupid to even suggest that. But it's like, I'm sorry, Mike, I'm going to throw it to you.
Mm-hmm.
What are the pros of this hire as you see it? There's definitely pros.
Just the experience.
He's a pro.
Obviously, you want, and not you want. I like the fact that he's worked in the pros. He knows how to work, how to coach. Adults in the NFL and the professional leagues.
And he's probably coached a gazillion all-pro players.
Oh, definitely. So that would definitely help out. But yeah, that one big question mark is, can he recruit? Does he want to recruit? That's the one thing, well, one of many things that a lot of fans were irked by Chip Kelly, is that he just didn't recruit the way he should have, the way he could have, the way he could have made this made UCLA a freaking powerhouse if he just tried a little bit. But at least he's happy now.
Stay on target.
So that's the only thing that I'm worried about is recruiting. But like as far as coaching chops, yeah, definitely. I think he'll have these guys thinking at a different level, and thinking about how that they can all work together. But and that's the thing too. It's not just him coaching the offensive line. It's how are all the coaches coming together to make this happen. And yeah, it does seem like a lot of friends, a lot of old buddies, a lot of old coworkers are coming together for this situation. And, not in a nepotism sort of way, but I think Deshaun Foster, and this is just my opinion, I think Deshaun Foster's going about this thinking that, hey, I know some really good minds. Let's get together. We've had good ideas before. Let's see what we can do. And right now, that is my hope, that there's just a collective, not just energy injected into the program, but having these coaches go, okay, this is a situation we're in. Let's go and kick some ass. Will they? That's yet to be determined. But right now, Deshaun Foster is actually in a really difficult position, being hired so late and having to hire a position coach so late in the postseason. But let's see where it goes in year one, huh?
Certainly, you can say that, given the difficult position that he has been placed in, right? He has done a good job, at least making hires that aren't just completely like, oh my God, what are we doing, right? Eric Bienemy could be a home run.
Yeah.
Now, for those of you out there that are screaming that it absolutely is a home run, well, I think you're full of shit and maybe putting, maybe projecting a little bit. We don't know that yet. And how you could classify any of this stuff, whether it's Deshaun Foster, whether it's Eric Bienemy, whether it's Juan Castillo, or whether it's Robert Thomas, or any of the way this coaching has come together as any sort of known quantity, like, I think it's delusional, right? However, you certainly could be cautiously optimistic that they're making lemonade out of the lemons that fell out of Chip Kelly's ass a couple weeks ago, right? Pardon the mixed metaphors and whatever.
What's going on?
But there it is.
Yeah.
I don't think this could be anything other than we're gonna have to see how it works and see how it comes together.
Oh, totally.
But on the positive side, you could have Deshaun Foster, who is coming in his first job at his alma mater, extremely motivated, ready to kick some ass, hits the ground running, and now he has hired a staff with, which we were kind of worried about before, but with a lot of experience, NFL experience, but a lot of experience. And can you recruit to that? Oh, hell yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Oh, come to UCLA and yeah, sure, we'll figure out the NIL part of it, which is hopefully in a better. It's undeniably in a better state now than it was a month ago. But come to UCLA, and you're going to be able to learn from guys that have coached the Kelsey brothers.
Yeah.
Guys that have coached Pat Mahomes. Guys that have won Super Bowls. You know, that's a nice pitch.
Yeah.
If that's the best case scenario, right?
Yeah.
You have guys that are motivated to recruit and guys that are pointing at some of the other coaches saying, look who you can learn from.
Yeah.
Like that's a nice pitch.
Yeah.
On the negative side of it, it could just be Deshaun Foster scrambling and trying to put together a staff, and hopefully he's up to the task, but maybe it's a little too much for him. And the guys that are hired are short timers at best and not really motivated to do anything other than just try to have a landing spot and kind of get the band back together and just kind of, get through the season until they find a better opportunity.
Yeah.
But those things are an unknown, and we're not going to know how it's going to work out until they get to next season. Mike?
Well, I was going to say a little bit of breaking news, not so much, but
wait, hold on. Why not?
What's brewing?
Breaking news on a weekly basis.
News just in.
Breaking news.
It was announced on Monday that Big Ten Media Day will take place from Tuesday, July 23rd to Thursday, July 25th in Indianapolis.
Let's go.
And I'm most likely going to be there. And I'm already thinking about questions. Dude, let's go.
I really want to go, but
one of the first questions I would ask.
UCLA is going to be at I'm never going to get it right.
I know, right? It's freaking weird.
UCLA is going to be a Big Ten Media Day on the 24th of July.
On the 24th, the Wednesday.
My mother's birthday.
The second.
It is on Wednesday. Yeah. So maybe I can go midweek, call my mom, say happy birthday. Hi, Mom, love you.
Take her to dinner on the weekend.
And then on the weekend, I still got to get off work, but we'll see.
Mrs. Merrifield,
she's a big,
I'll take care
big fan of the show.
She is the
I
fan of the
guarantee
show.
you, she'll tell me to go, but it's like, am I being a dick if I go? I don't know. We'll see.
We'll
I mean,
TBD.
It's a Wednesday. Who comes out on a Wednesday?
So one of the first questions I would have.
I'll FaceTime.
And hopefully, there you go. Hopefully nobody beats me to the punch. So any of you reporters listening to this, back off. But no, one of the first questions I would have is, how do you want this football team to go? How do you want the offense to operate? Do you want it to be like Smash Mouth? Do you want it to be more pass heavy, more run heavy, more balanced? Do you want the defense to be more speed oriented? Do you want them to be more physical? What is the identity of this UCLA team? Because I think that'll probably be the first opportunity for any reporter to really inquire about how Deshaun Foster is going to make this go. So that is one thing I'm looking forward to. And unfortunately, it's 4 or 5 months away.
Yeah.
Still.
We'll get spring practice a little bit too, right?
Yeah. But
I'm curious to see how available the UCLA program will be via in the spring practice. But we don't know that yet, do we?
Well, I thought will
it be more open than Chip?
Yeah.
I imagine it will be.
Oh yeah. I can't remember where or how I heard it, but yeah, the fact that it's just going to be more accessible. And then the fact that on April 27th, you have the spring game at the Rose Bowl.
With a special appearance by OnlyLoons.com, maybe.
For sure.
Let's go. Go Birds.
That's not go Birds. Chip Kelly was just so... For as unsuccessful as he was, especially for the first 3 years of his tenure, the fact that he was just so just really limited the media to looking at his practice, especially with some of those practices.
I think Chip Kelly is probably the worst coach in the past.
Chip Kelly can kind of be a dick.
That one.
I thought about it. I was like, you're not really hiding anything. So what is all this secrecy and all that? But I have a feeling that Deshaun Foster is going to open things up quite a bit.
There's definitely a different dynamic here because, Kelly came in with all the gravitas of being Chip Kelly, and the Bruins, even though they paid him to be here and they made the big swing, it was still like he had the credentials to kind of do what he wanted, and UCLA kind of, acquiesced to whatever he wanted, whether it was the big food budget or the funky stretches during the second quarter at the Rose Bowl or whatever, right? There's all kinds of weird shit that kind of started and went by the wayside. Deshaun is certainly starting on a different, like they're actively trying to be, because Chip Kelly brought us to the grand, a state of record low fan attendance, acceptance of absolute mediocrity. A lot of these markers that, that, like I said, entering in the Big Ten, we're not really happy with as Bruin fans that have a memory, but it is what we are, right? Foster's coming in with a little bit of a reclamation project. Not that he doesn't have things to work with. Once again, I'm, cautiously optimistic about the offense this year.
Go Garbers or go home.
Let's go. But that's going to lead to different dynamics with Foster in the media versus Kelly in the media, right? And just I think how they handle the program. I mean, they have a little bit of making up to do, and I think they're hopefully they're going to lean into it. It seems like they are. Yeah.
He also has to deal with NIL, which that seems like it's helping out, but
certainly better than it was.
I forgot who.
I still can't get Bill to donate $20 to either the Wooden Athletic Fund or NIL, but hopefully that's not representative of most UCLA fans.
We're winning a natty next year if Bill's doing that.
God, if Bill donates $20 to either, that would be a big indicator of things are trending.
But that's the thing. It's like you hire the coach, and all of a sudden, all these donations, come in that first week. Yeah, that has slowed down a bit.
That's fine,
which it is. But I also can imagine that there's just like who I can't remember. There was a national football analyst who was talking about donor fatigue. It's like how much? Like I just donated. I have to donate again.
It's disgusting the posture they're putting fans in.
Yeah, the Casey Wassermans of the world have to step up.
Whoever. The UCLA athletic program has to step up. They are getting a gajillion dollars from the Big Ten.
Yeah.
And I don't want to hear any more about, we're operating at a deficit. All that stuff is like circumstantial bullshit.
Yeah.
Okay? You're getting this giant contract from being in the Big Ten. You do have a gajillion very wealthy donors that could possibly donate to UCLA, but it's not all about that. UCLA is going to be all right. Like, regardless. Yeah. They could, what was the example I was just thinking? I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about the WNBA and women's college basketball an hour ago, when we went on our initial tangent. And it's like, the way I look at UCLA is, okay, fine. Just because you declare that your athletic department has to operate like in a vacuum on itself and be, completely, make its own money basically, and zero out the books or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the Title IX circumstances and all these other things, they have been operating at a deficit because of the expense of the program, and fans have been showing up to Rose Bowl because thank you Chip Kelly and all these other things, COVID, all this stuff, right? But all that's like a temporary thing.
Yeah,
they are doing just fine, relatively speaking, and all of this nonsense about not making up money, not having money is kind of a smokescreen, giant pile of bullshit. There's the university is doing just fine, and if they would just decide to lean into the fact that athletics is
that would help.
One of the easiest and most lucrative ways to get to gain generate money and popularity for your school.
Mm-hmm.
The most visible factors in getting, people to apply and people to pay attention to UCLA in all sorts of shapes and forms.
Yeah.
Other than bullshit protests and things. God bless those students. All that perspective in those students.
When you see,
just get the athletic programs, basically football, on the right side of things, and it's a money making machine.
Yeah. When you see someone out there wearing
OMG.
When you see someone out there wearing a UCLA Bruins t-shirt or hoodie or hat, you think of John Wooden or the football team, or even Mick Cronin, Ben Howland, recent success with those sports. You're not necessarily thinking, the poli-sci department or psychology or UCLA is an academic institution, and it's a very proud one.
A top 20 in the world academic institution.
Yeah, exactly. But a lot of what it's famous for, and a lot of what most American universities are famous for, are their sports.
And the impact that has on the university as a whole.
It's big.
There's no doubt. And the thing is, UCLA can claim both.
Exactly.
Just like, to a lesser degree.
Lean into that, like you're saying.
Just, Stanford, Cal, UCLA, North Carolina, Duke, right? But the thing about UCLA that's different, historically, traditionally, they have been great at all the sports, not just, and it really frustrates me because, kind of dorks like Canzano or John Wilner, friend of the show, God bless him. But the last 20 years of UCLA football have allowed the conclusion that UCLA is, quote, a basketball school to become, kind of accepted. And it's still, in my heart of hearts, I believe it's bullshit.
Yeah.
But, every year that goes by that UCLA is just kind of mediocre in football kind of makes it a little bit harder to make that argument. And it's really frustrating for someone like me whose favorite thing in the world, other than my own children, my family, and my dog Grizzly, is
football.
UCLA football. But I'm, every year that goes by, I'm kind of losing a little bit more ground.
Here we go again.
But UCLA traditionally has been good at all of it. Just do what you need to do, UCLA, and whoever the new,
Chancellor,
thank you. Yeah. Do what you need to do.
Hook it up
to get it back on track. Because you have so much here.
Make all the money.
There's so much to work with.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Whatever. Yeah. All right, Mike. I don't know. I can't do it anymore.
I'm done.
Me too.
I hate sports.
Me too. The show's done.
We're out of here.
We're canceling ourselves. All right. What's wrong with you?
What's brewing with you? You asked me. What's brewing with me? Yeah.
We've been talking for an hour and a half. I'm a little loopy right now. Make it quick. Mikey, what's wrong with you?
Well, I just came back from my second home, Philadelphia AA.
Go Birds.
Had a great time with the Kelly Honey Bunny, and one of our favorite things to do. We love the IPAs. I don't know why those specifically, but there are just so many really good spots in Philly. It's such a weird town. I kind of came to this conclusion that South Philly is very similar to Boyle Heights in East LA, because there's it's a lot of residential, one or two main streets, and not a lot of fast food, but a lot of mom and pop restaurants and bars and stuff like that. And that's what's really cool. The only difference is it's freaking cold out there. So we were inside of a lot of spots. We found a barcade, which is really cool. Hit up the Philadelphia Ballet out there, and just explored the city. You read different restaurants. And
how's the ballet, Mike?
It was haunting. We saw Giselle. Have you heard of that?
No.
Yeah. Long story short, it's about this ballet dancer that it's about this girl that falls in love with a nobleman, can't get with him, dies in the first act. Second act, she haunts everybody. It was pretty freaking dark, but awesome. But no, I've just I've had quite a lot of fun times out in Philadelphia, and yeah, it's just a really cool city. I mean, aside from being a historical, especially to America, the colonies and all that such, just a really fun city. And I do have to admit that my favorite show ever, which I finally got Jake to watch, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, has aided my love for the city.
It is fitting that you ended up dating a chick that is not from, but living in Philly,
Right?
because now you're spending a lot of your time in Philly, and literally,
Dude,
I'm always surprised, but not quite, when I send you some rando clip from that show, because I'm still not all the way through it.
Oh, dude.
But I'll send you just something I think is funny, and then you're quote 7 lines from it, like you watched it an hour ago. So I mean, that's
Dude, I want that. Okay, so that's one of the shows where it's sometimes people have shows that they watch to go to bed to. That's definitely one of them. I start watching the show now. I'm like, oh God, that's right there, or that's over there. Oh, Gino Steaks, that's down Pasek, or that the I-95, that's right on the way to the Delaware River walk, and it's just so it's literally become my second home. Absolutely love it. Jake, what's brewing with you?
Mike, I'm happy for you. I finally got around to reading a book by one of my favorite authors / podcasters / historians, Mike Duncan, The Hero of Two Worlds, about the Marquis de Lafayette, who fought in the American War of Independence, and then went back and fought in the French Revolution. He was a nobility from France. Whatever. I'm reading the. I'm actually listening to the audiobook.
General Lafayette.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Basically, if you go to any city in America, there's probably like at least 15 things named Lafayette in some way, shape, or form. Especially if you go like the East Coast, but even out here in California, you see Lafayette all over the place. And it goes back to Marquis de Lafayette, who came out as a young, like a teenager, a nobleman, teenager, came out, hooked up with George Washington, fought with George Washington, and then went back to France and was in the French Revolution, very heavily involved in all of the events there, right up until Napoleon took over. Yeah. My name is Hamilton.
Immigrants, we get the job done.
But a fun little thing, and by the way, audible.com, I love it, and listen to books there or just read it yourself. But a fun fact from the Marquis de Lafayette that I heard today was he grew up kind of out in the French woods, but as a nobleman, and then he had to go to court under the Sun King and like learn how to do stuff, in a courtly manner. He's kind of like a rube. All the nobility kind of looked at him as kind of a rube, and they married into a really wealthy family. And then at some point, the American Revolution was about to pop off, and there was like, should France help out? And there was like all this Spygate stuff going on back and forth.
Yeah, because England and France hated each other at that time.
Yeah, exactly. Big rivals, and they had just had the 7 Years' War, and France got their ass kicked or whatever. So, anyways, Lafayette was like the first nobleman to go over there, like official, actual nobleman. He was like 16 or 17 at the time. Or no, it might have been 18. But anyways, he goes over there, and like I said, hooks up with George Washington, fights in the American War of Independence. But one of the fun things about him is at some point when he was a young teenager, he changed his family motto, right? This is nobility going back, 1,000 years or whatever. Vi sat contra fatum, which would translate to, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but determination is enough to overcome destiny. Can you imagine, Mike, if you're like, a young heir to a noble family, and your family history goes back, back to like, 1000 AD, fighting with Joan of Arc and all that stuff, and on your family crest you see the words that mean determination is enough to overcome destiny. That's pretty rad, right? That's pretty kick-ass. That's a lot to lean on. Like, you're like, oh my God, my ancestors did this, and I feel very confident, and what I'm going to do is strike out in the world and make my own identity and all this stuff like that. Well, at some point, when he was like, 16 or 17, he decided to change it to, very simply, Kiernan, which means, why not? Right? Isn't that awesome? And then he goes off to fight in the American War of Independence, and then comes back and fights in the French Revolution. He's this big character throughout history, and like a million things are named after him, and certainly a wonderful character. But I thought that was just a very, very cool thing. So, Mike, I think number one, we should establish our own family crest. I don't know what yours is going to be. I got to think about what mine's going to be. Yeah. But, I can't use Dale because Mr. 305, which happy 305 day to you. Pitbull is, that's his. So I got to think about that one. Yeah. Fireball. I can't think of two better ones than either determination is enough to overcome destiny or why not? So that's what we can say about UCLA football right now. Why not? Why not? So with that, Mike, dude, this show is like lasted forever. Yep. How is it that that's what we do? We dial in. Now it's just like two of us here, Jabberjaw, and we go on longer than ever. There's nobody here to cut us off. Yeah. But first two punks, last two. That's right. We love you, Matthew Lillard. We'll be back next week, probably. He was really good at Shaggy. I know, right? Zoinks. But we'll be back next week. And until next time, Mikey, what do we say? Go Bruins.
Good evening.
Smoke 'em if you got 'em.
That was the What's Bruin Show.
Try us tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel.
It's got to be in or out, Mom. In or out. Well, I need the door closed.
Thank you for your cooperation.
Dude, Rock, we play some ball on the West Coast.
The final word is boob.
for me personally, like, I don't care what the competition is. If it's like they're staring me in the face, I'll watch.
Saldana.
I'm keeping that freestyle.
Sorry, going on a Nine Inch Nails.
That's good. That's good. Turn this off. How do I turn it off? It's gone. I do love that though.
That was a perfect beat.